What's the one emotion that you want to avoid? What's the one emotion that can rip at your heart at the end of your days? We want to be mindful of it and live our life in such a way so we avoid that experience. So the one emotion that rips at our heart when we get to the end of days is when we look back at our life that we lived and realize that we regret certain things. Regret is the one emotion that will rip at your heart. I know as we look back in our life today, have you ever been in a situation where you thought, well, have you ever said this to yourself? I wish life had a rewind button. You know that movie with Adam Sandler, Click, where he had the remote control of life and he can rewind it. When you rewind life, you can change something that happened and rewind the future. But then it's like once you mess with the timeline of your destiny, things change, don't they? The question is, are we living a life to the best of our ability? Are we taking advantage of all the opportunities, all the decision that our spirit made to be on this planet so we can experience it in all its wonder? Only you can answer that. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to live life with zero regrets and love every minute of it. All right? Because what we do know is this: a life free from regret is a joyful ride indeed. So how do you live a joyful ride? How do you go ahead and do this? You've got to keep on moving forward. My dad had a saying, keep them going. No matter what's happening in your life, you just keep them going. And this is what we're doing. We keep them going, sharing with you to be able to help you keep moving forward. So let me ask you these questions as we start. Are you living with regret right now? Have you done things in the past that you wish you had done differently? Many people live in denial. That's not a river in Egypt, denial. It's actually a state that you put yourself in which avoids what you're going through right now. And when you get to the end of days, that's when you become conscious of it and you think, oh my God, if only I did something different. So have you done anything, guys, in the past that you've done differently? Does this sound familiar? Have you ever thought, I wish I hadn't broken up with him, or broken up with her, or did that to him, or did that to her? What a bad decision that was. Maybe with your job or your position or the thing that you purchased or when you moved somewhere. I don't know. Now, every decision has a lesson, but at that moment when you experience something and you regret, you're thinking maybe these things, right? If only I'd spent more time with my kids. Imagine your days and thinking this. What about now it's too late, I can't get started. I missed my opportunity. Most of us, when we regret something, we're regretting something that's actually happened in the past. Actually, let's have a look at definition. What's a definition of regret? What is regret? It's a verb or a noun, right? It's a feeling of sadness, repentance, or disappointment over an occurrence or something that one has done or failed to do, including yourself or someone else in your perspective. So it's interesting because when you look back and you're not happy with what's happening to you, what you've done in the past, if you're disappointed with or repenting something you've done in the past, you're rejecting your past. And if today is an expression of your past, if you're rejecting part of your past, I tell you, you're rejecting part of yourself today. And that's going to lead to a lot of messes and internal conflicts, right? And why we need to go see people and therapy to support ourselves, because we regret what we did or didn't do, we regret the conversations we didn't have, we regret the opportunities we didn't take, we regret the times that we had a chance to say to someone how much they meant to us and that we love them and we didn't. We regret going on that trip, maybe exploring, going to new ventures, taking on that new role, that new job, stretching ourselves so we can grow. If you ever look back and regret that, then it's almost rejecting part of your past, rejecting that it happened. And if you're rejecting something that's happened in your past, you're rejecting part of your present, which sets out you to be rejecting your future. A lot of the masses just live in mediocrity, they live a life of randomness, hoping that something will change outside of themselves for something to happen in order for life to change, when the ultimate change is from something new coming from within themselves. Putting themselves in a situation where they face the situation, make a decision that propels their life forward and puts them in the vibration and attract all the things that they want in their life. So are you regretting anything in your life right now? So how do we let go of our regrets? What are some things we can share with you? And you know, here's the thing, right? Most people think regret is a universally bad thing. And when you look closer to it, it actually serves us. It's very useful. It has a purpose in our lives. We can use it effectively to be able to ensure that we keep focus on what's important to us, our values, and start moving forward. A lot of people avoid it. And when they avoid it, they just keep on recreating the things that they avoid. So let me go through 7 tips to actually help us let go of regrets. Maybe look at our situation in the past differently so we can actually experience life different now and in the future. Tip 1, let your priorities guide you. One of the best ways to make decisions you won't regret is to let your priorities guide you. How many of you know what your priorities are? Do you live your life through your priorities? Again, if you're living randomly, you're not living through priorities. People get up and they get on their phone and they have this digital distraction, and before you know it, 2 or 3 hours have passed and they've been caught up in someone else's agenda. They open their emails, they're looking at messages, and they're replying and responding to all these things before they even get their day started. So they're already living on someone else's agenda, on someone else's timeline, and they're not actually revering their own time. They're not showing reverence for their own life and the moments that they have right now and in the future, not for them to experience life and do things that matter. So whenever you're faced with a decision, guys, big or small, determine which option best fits what's most important to you. Have you ever sat down and thought about what's most important to you? It's an interesting question. Right? Because the option that's most closely in alignment with your priorities, beliefs and values will most likely be the best decision for you. And when you make the decision, the chances are that you minimize that moment where you may look back and regret something. Because if you're living with your values and beliefs and what is important to you, and what is important to you is important to you. Let no one tell you that's right or wrong. You're the person that determines what's right for you. But we live in society. You've got to think about, hey, would you like your parents to have gone through that? Or you like your kids to go through that? So think about what's important to you and how you treat other people as well too. Tip number 2, how to determine your priorities. Well, we're going to give you 3 steps to cut out the confusion. And this is the work that we do, right? So anyone's done an NLP or this mindset training, we actually sit down and help you to become very clear with what's important to you. Like, what are the things which are important to you in your life? What are things that are important to you in your career? What are things that are important to you in your relationships? So the first thing is we want you to reflect. We want you to think about what's important to you and write them down. Then you need to arrange them in a specific order. And a specific way of actually talking to your unconscious mind and getting your unconscious mind, hey, here's a pen. Don't think it, blink it. Grab a pen and all the 10 or 15 values you wrote down, just put a number next to them as you go down the list without even thinking about it, without being conscious. And you go bang, 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 and think, oh my God, how come I put that as number 1 or number 2? Or we'll sit down and have a chat with you and you might have, let's say you've got number 1 value is being compassionate, number 2 value is integrity. So let me ask you a question. What's more important, compassion or integrity? People say, well, integrity. Okay, well that's more important than compassion. So if your 3rd value was love, what's more important, love or integrity? People say love. Well, then love's more important than compassion. So it's love, integrity, compassion. That's how you order it. So there's a specific way of sitting down, asking someone questions, asking yourself questions to create your hierarchy, to understand what's important. It's creating a criteria for your life, guys. It's your checklist. So if you know your checklist in the job, what's important, when an opportunity comes up, you can say, hey, this is now referred to your priority list, right? Make choices. When an opportunity comes up, you can say, hey, is this helping me get my 1st priority, my 2nd priority, my 3rd priority? Many people don't even know their priorities and so, oh, I think that's what I want, so I'm going to give this a go. And when they realize they give that a go, it's not what they wanted, they regret not taking another opportunity, regret not actually taking time to think about what's important. You want to change your life? Start living your life based on priorities. In order to do that, you've got to sit down, think about them, arrange them, and make a commitment to actually keep on referring to them as your checklist. It's what's important to you in your career, what's important to you with your health, what's important to you with your relationships. I had a friend a long time ago, we had to chat about this, and she said, you know what? If you don't know what's important to you, if you don't know what your values, it's like driving through an orange light. And most people live life driving through an orange light. They see an orange light, they think, oh, I better stop, I shouldn't be doing this, and they know they shouldn't be doing something, but they still go through it, hoping they get to the other side. But when they're hoping to get to the other side, they're hoping that they don't get whacked on one of those sides, right? And they're focusing, hoping not get whacked. Guess what happens? They get whacked. When you have your priorities sorted, it's like driving through green lights. It's all green lights in your life. There's the metaphor. So you rarely regret making choices according to your higher priorities. If you don't know what they are yet, get in touch with us and we can help you go through a process, or myself or one of our coaches, so you can actually determine what your priorities are and align them. That is life. It's liberating. That itself is a break that people need to experience or to change their trajectory in terms of where their life is going. Tip number 3, live by the golden rule. Another good way to prevent poor choices that lead to regret is to live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If that's the energy you put out, you're not going to be regretting things that you've done because you're doing things that you would like to have done to yourself. When you take the golden rule to heart, not only will you prevent regret, but you'll also find that people tend to reciprocate kindness, making life more enjoyable around. It's a reflection of what you're putting out. We know that, right? So maybe that's a golden rule that you live by. Maybe you've got another golden rule. But what is your creed? What is the thing that you read every morning? You know, what are your 3 words that you stand for? That when you get to your end of days, on your tombstone, you want to be remembered by. And so read those 3 words every morning because it sets your priorities. It's like, you know what? I'm getting out of bed and I'm going to be living my day based on what's important to you. I mean, not necessarily based on other person's agenda, being caught up on digital distraction. Tip number 4, become action-oriented. A lot of times, what we regret isn't so much what we did. When I look back and talk to most people, it's actually what we didn't do. And we don't do things because of fear. We don't do things because we're paralyzed with what we think may happen to us. We think that we're going to recreate or experience what's happened in the past. And so we're living in the past. So the past doesn't equal the future, unless you choose to live there. It's the emotional home that you live which actually determines the quality of your life. That's right, law of cause versus effect. Or cause is greater than effect. Live a life at cause is always greater than effect. Most people are at effect. All right? As I said, waiting for something to happen outside of them as opposed to for something new to come from within themselves. So establish an action-oriented mindset which strengthens your decision skills. Because when you make a decision to do something, you're building the muscle of making decisions. When you build the muscle of making decisions, then you can make decisions easily and effortlessly, not be on the fence. Most people regret not making a decision, not doing something, so they're sitting on the fence. You sit on the fence long enough, you're going to get splinters in your ass. And that's ultimately where people end up, they've got internal conflict inside themselves. It's like, part of me wants this and part of me wants that. And it's like this internal conflict, like you've got 2 wolves fighting inside you. You know, the Indian tale, or parable, where the little boy goes to the Indian chief and goes, "Chief, I feel like I've got 2 wolves fighting inside me. How do I know which one's going to win?" And the chief says, "Well, the one that you feed the most." So which wolf are you feeding the most? The one that, when you're focusing on things that you didn't do, or that life's not the way you want it to be, or focusing on what may happen with the things that you do and what you have done, and patting yourself on the back for what you've been able to achieve so far? Let's share some tips in terms of how you can become more action-oriented mindset. Number 1, avoid procrastination. Now, you know what the mother of procrastination is, right? Perfectionism. So if you're a perfectionist, if you want to make sure you get everything right, if you're a lone wolf and you think you've got to do everything yourself because if you give it to someone else, you're not going to get it done right, then you're just going to procrastinate. In order to perfect something, you need to put it out there first to be able to get feedback in order to actually adjust it to perfect it. Without putting anything out there, you're never going to achieve perfection. So perfection is a myth. And the constant perfection, if you're focusing on you've got to have something perfect before you get started, then you're going to procrastinate till the end of days. You know what? Just start. Just start and the rest will look after itself. Because if you're a perfectionist, okay, I'm in the process of perfecting my skill or my life in the best possible way. So if I'm going to do that, I need to put something out there no matter how it is right now in order to find out what I need to do to improve it. Remember, there's no such thing as a failure. We teach that in NLP, it's a presupposition. There's just feedback, right? Are you open to feedback is the question, or are you closed to feedback? So avoid procrastination. Number 2, plan your work and work your plan. Because if you're not planning your work, then someone else is going to plan your work and you're going to be living on their agenda and you're going to be exposed to all these distractions, right? Block your time when you do certain things. Time with the kids, time to do certain activities at work. The more you block your time and the more manage your time. And I got that credit from Brendon Burchard, and I like giving credit from my mentors and my teachers. And when I did the high performance coaching with him many years back in the States, that when we looked at the time management module, that's what he said. Managing your time is the way you show reverence for your life. The people who cannot manage the time, who people take their time for granted, have no reverence for life, no gratitude for life, no appreciation for life. They think they're going to have all the time in the world to do things. Whereas when you revere your life, you know that every moment counts and you want to maximize it. And number 3, seek solutions to your challenges as opposed to problems. Again, what is it you're focusing on? How can I make this better? Where can I get the resource in order to improve this? So tip number 5, take advantage of opportunities. I want you to think about, are you always out when opportunity comes knocking at your door? When I say out, are you present or are you somewhere else? Are you closed off to what life can give you? Because if you close off to opportunities in your career, in your business, to opportunities in friendships and relationships because of your past experiences, you know what you're doing? When someone knocks on your door, you're running them through your past experiences. You actually label them like someone else, think they're going to be the same or this is going to be the same, so you close off to that person. So my question to you is, would you like to be closed off by someone? So you think about it. How are you choosing to live your life? Are you open to all opportunities or are you closed? The best way to live your life is with an open heart. I love Rumi's quote. Allow your heart to be broken over and over and over and over and over again until it remains open. But many people close their heart after one breaking, and the break could be a relationship, the break could be in a career, the break could be a friendship, the break could be something that happened to you, but our hearts got broken because we had expectations that weren't met. So you were setting up expectations of that person or situation. What if you detached from expectations and allowed yourself to experience the energy and the frequency of that experience, what life has got to give you, without any attachments? I mean, that's the theory. Is it possible? I don't know. I'm still working on it. We're not here on this planet to live life by ourselves. We're here to share our life and experience it and express it and have these moments with other people. So how many times have you berated yourself for missing a window of opportunity? So the secret, guys, as I said, is keep an open mind, keep an open heart. Listen to other people's ideas and apply them to your situation. Ask yourself, is there a way I can use this idea to bring me closer to my goals, to my priorities, to living life the way I want to live? Think, oh my God, you know what? If I wasn't open, I wouldn't have actually been exposed to this awesome opportunity idea for me to actually consider things a little bit differently. Everything's happening in life the way it needs to happen. You know why? Because it didn't happen any other way. Peter Crone. It happened because it happened, because it didn't happen any other way. And you're exactly where you need to be in order for you to get to your next level in your life. But with the next level in your life, with every step of your evolution, with every new level, there's a new devil. You've got to be prepared to actually work with the flip side, the shadow. A lot of people do all the light work, they get there, but when they evolve, guess what? You're in a better position to deal with all the things you haven't dealt with before, so more stuff's going to come up. It's not just working with the light, it's actually building your resilience to actually learn to live above the demons and the shadow. We never get rid of them, we just learn to live above them. And then we're grateful and we're blessed because we have them, because it actually creates that yin and yang, the understanding of our duality that we exist, and actually feeds our purpose of what we're here to do. Tip number 6, make good memories. You can avoid regret simply by living a life on purpose. What does that mean? It means choose a life of joy. Your job is to bring the joy. The power plant doesn't have any energy, it generates it. You are the power plant. Your joy, your energy, your vibration is a reflection of the state that you choose to be in. Change your state, create a pharmacy of mastery with all the things that you can do. You get up in front of the mirror, dance, put some music on, say your incantations, do your rituals. All these things are things that are going to put you in the best state so you can make better decisions. Why don't you pursue a life of joy? A life of joy, spending it with your family, your loved ones, your friends. Doing the things that you always wanted to do. Do the things that matter. The secret to avoiding regret is to do the things that matter most. We only regret things because we've done things that didn't matter to us. Or we put other people's agendas first. We did things because we thought we had to do them. We're missing out on what was in front of us, missing out on the magic of life in front of us. Tip 7 is the last one. How do you eliminate past regrets? Because you know, when you harbour resentment from the past, it only hurts you. It's almost a rejection of the past. If you reject the past, you're rejecting yourself today. So here are some techniques that can help you. Let bygones be bygones. You can't change the past, right? You can't change the beginning, but you can create a new ending. So think about how you can actually take charge of your life today, the decisions today, and create a new ending. By how? By living in the moment. And living in the moment isn't just being the power now and doing nothing. Understand that this moment right now, you have the most power. You can either make this moment, whatever you make this moment mean, will determine what happens in your future and what you attract in your future. So if you're allowing this moment, and it's your choice, to be hijacked by the past, you're making this moment mean something from the past. So this moment, which has already been affected by the past, this moment will become the past of your future. And you get to your future and regret this moment because you knew, but you didn't do something. It's common sense, right? But how many of us know common sense is not always common practice if you've done our training, right? So live in the moment. Make the most of this moment by actually making the meanings that you give this moment. You can either be a prisoner of your past, shackled to the obstacles of your past experiences, or you can touch the rim of possibilities of the future. You choose. No one's doing anything to you. It's a choice that you make. Use affirmations, incantations, say things to yourself, meditation, some mindfulness, do some time to yourself. And of course, the last thing, continue to grow, because self-discovery leads to self-mastery. And this is what it's about, guys. How do you continue to grow? Get a book, buy a new book, read it, enroll in another program, personal development, self-development. And I want you to understand that the personal development, self-development industry has changed. What worked in the past doesn't necessarily work now. Our consciousness is evolving. We're expressing ourselves in a whole different way. We've gone from this yang expression, maybe in the 80s and 90s, to more of a yin expression in this decade. So you need to develop your soul, because that nurtures you, that's yin. It's not so much the extrinsic stuff that we want to acquire and we feel good about ourselves. And if you're acquiring everything on the outside and you're missing something on the inside, you're not doing the inner work. So in order to do the inner work, well, you have to make certain decisions. And as we said, guys, a life free from regret is a joyful ride indeed.